we're not necessarily a melting pot, because a melting pot means we've kind of gelled all together and now we made this new identity. Where
Right.
Dubai is not that. We are basically like a salad or like a fruit salad. What does she mean by that is that every individual component is so tasty on its own, adds so much value. But when you get it all together, you taste the different components that make Dubai what it is today. It's just beautiful to see how there are different people that have come, but everything is kind of tied to their upbringing here. They celebrate it, and these are third culture generation kids who have been born and raised here that celebrate Diwali, celebrate Christmas, celebrate Eid in their own style, in their own way. Dubai is now a brand name. If I don't do anything today, the world's not going to come crashing down. People are still going to, the numbers are still going to go up because
Yeah.
there's just this accumulation of branding that happened in the 80s and 90s for Dubai that we're going to see the effect up until I don't know, hundreds of years. We, a lot of people thought we were down for the count when COVID hit. It's like, oh, they're the new kid on the block. He's out. He won't be able to sustain. And we were the first destination to go fully open after COVID. I think we opened in like June or July 2020.
Hi, Saleh.
Hi, Ibrahim.
How's it going?
Alhamdulillah, doing well. How are you?
It's a very big pleasure to have you here. We met before on a panel
Yes.
at Apple
Yeah.
Store in Abu Dhabi that I moderated. You came on to talk about your experience in marketing and in branding. And I'm very excited to have you here on the show to talk a little bit more about your view on marketing and destination marketing as well, and culture. I think this is a big topic, culture in Dubai, and I want to dive a little bit into that with you.
Thank you for having me.
Do you want to give a quick intro about yourself?
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people know you, and there may be people who don't.
I'm sure more of the latter, but my name is Saleh AlBreiki. I Emirati, born and raised in Dubai. My come from siblings, four brothers. I'm the eldest. We've kind of just grew up our entire lives here in Dubai. I went and studied in the UK for my university degree, bachelor's degree, and then I continued my further education here. I did an executive MBA here in Dubai. And I started off, believe it or not, with an accounting and finance degree and somehow ended up in the career of marketing communications, specifically, like you said, destination marketing and, culture marketing. And on the side, because, life tells you you can't do enough, I also run my own businesses, to which I believe you have visited a few.
Yeah.
So I do run a few F&B concepts with my brother. He's my business partner there, and I run one fitness facility here in Dubai in Al Goz as well with my best friend, and we're business partners as well. And I think the flagship businesses that I run have crossed the 10-year mark.
Yeah.
When I started them, I had hair. now otherwise, because
Yeah.
alhamdulillah, like I try my best to keep busy and always like put my
Right.
finger on the pulse and the
Right.
city that is Dubai.
So one of these businesses or the fitness space is Gravity.
Yeah.
Gravity Calisthenics.
Yes.
Which is probably the largest calisthenics gym in the region. I'm a member of that gym.
Yes,
I love
thank
it.
you.
I'm getting into calisthenics. I feel like there's a culture. There's a very cool culture over there. And what would you say is something that differentiates maybe Gravity from other gyms?
So I think you said it. You literally just said it. I think the thing that differentiates us is the culture that we've created. So when we first started it, we were the only calisthenics and parkour all facility in the region. To be honest, alhamdulillah, now the ecosystem has grown. We have a lot of sister gyms within the UAE as well as in the GCC. And for us, the most important thing I think that was what when we first started was we just wanted to create a community feel. And so immediately when it came to selecting everyone from the person that says good morning to you at the reception, your teacher, the maintenance team that comes in, we hand selected the team that we felt were the ones that kind of just make you feel good,
Yeah.
because when you're coming to a facility like a fitness facility, I grew up. I was an overweight teenager, and when I had first gone into gyms, we didn't have community gyms at that time. I'm talking 20 years ago. It was quite intimidating. You know,
Mm.
everyone there was kind of using machines. I didn't know what each machine did. The only thing that I could learn was a treadmill because I knew what the on button was. But I didn't feel kind of a sense of I knew who was, you know, running next to me or the trainer that was there. I felt everything was very commercialized.
Yeah.
I was actually being hounded to, you know, renew or go for extra packages. Whereas here, the first thing we say is, you know, come in, first class on us,
Yeah.
and give us your honest thought. We actually sit with every person after and tell them, you know, tell us what did you feel about the class? What did you feel about the trainer? We really
Mm.
wanted to understand what customers wanted when they entered a facility and that they wanted to feel like they belong to it. And we wanted that to translate into any feedback that they gave us. We tried our best to incorporate.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, what we noticed 10 plus years later, we just crossed 10 years in May, is that members, or, you know, we call them our tribe, they don't stay in the gym for an hour. They stay for an average of sometimes 3 hours because they come an hour earlier to chill, play chess, you know,
Yeah.
with the trainers.
Yeah.
They train, and then after it, they work or they grab a coffee with one of their friends. And we realized that the average spend time was around 3 to 4 hours in the gym. So we don't call ourselves, you know, a gym. We say, you know, we're a family, we're a tribe.
Yeah.
We try also our best to incorporate like external activities.
Yeah.
So once a month we go karting, we go hiking trips, we go camping trips, you know, to Oman sometimes. So we really wanted to create this kind of overall ethos of we're a community rather than we're a fitness facility. And that's a good and a bad thing because the good thing is it works and it attracts, alhamdulillah, and we're, you know, 10 plus years as an SME is not an easy thing. But the thing that kind of like shoots ourselves in the foot is the sense of how do you replicate that community feel if you wanted to expand in a
Yeah.
business sense of world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah.
the I think the dilemma
And,
that some people face.
and the model is different, right? From a regular traditional gym. It's not a space that you visit and you have access to all these machines and you
Hmm.
just go around the machines and practice. It's predominantly classes,
Yes.
right? So it's almost
Class
like a
based.
school.
Yeah.
It's almost like an academy,
Yes.
right? So you're automatically, when you join, you're automatically part of a class, a curriculum.
Yes. We have
Uh,
different levels for kids when it comes to parkour,
yeah.
even calisthenics. And you mentioned the fact of the no equipment rule. And it's not necessarily, it's basically goes back to what our discipline is about. So
Mm.
calisthenics is a Greek terminology of beauty of the body movement. And so what we want to go is we want to take everyone back. You go to museums these days and you see all these Greek, arts, sculptures,
Yeah.
and everyone's like buff character. And we were
Yeah.
thinking, you know, there wasn't really equipment back then. They were using their own body weight.
Right.
And so calisthenics is about that. It's how do you utilize your body weight to stay fit.
Right.
And so, yes, we do have sections in the gym that, you know, we have our strength and conditioning and we've got our dumbbells, we've got our equipment, we've got our, you know, assault treads and everything, assault bikes. But the primary discipline that we teach is how do you utilize your body movement, your body weight,
Hmm.
and how do you get fit using that alone. So
Mm.
once you get into it, it's an academy.
Yeah.
We and you know if you've done our classes is we always provide it for all levels.
Yeah.
So for example, like a push up, we actually say if you're starting off, please, you know, use your knees to support you. Try one leg, then the next time. Try no legs the next time. Try to, you know, do a push up and a diamond push up. Try to do a smack push up where you're just kind of like in midair, just
I've
do a
never
smack.
heard of that one. Okay.
I'll show you. Not now though. I don't think I'm
Yeah.
dressed appropriately, but essentially it's kind of how do you build. And what we like to do is because of the academy mentality is we want people to come and be like, a month ago or 2 months ago, I wasn't even able to do a push up on my own, and now I
Yeah.
can. I couldn't even do a pull up without a band, but now I can. So we do believe in progression. We
Yeah.
don't believe in speed, and
Yeah.
we don't believe in reps.
Right.
We believe in, you know, precise progression. Take your time, focus on the joints, strengthen those joints, the wrists, the elbows, the shoulders, the
Yeah.
knees, and then we kind of build you up from there.
Right. And for the listeners and viewers, just FYI, there are classes that are dedicated for a muscle up. There are classes that are focused on handstand.
Yes.
So it's very, very technical, very specific.
Yeah.
And as you said, it's for all levels. if you look at this space, right, gravity, as a mini destination, and like, and how, as you said, the entire experience needs to be consistent, right? How the staff greets you, how you access the classes, how you feel like you're part of a community, and how people spend a lot of time there. Um, I'd like to also get your view on that, but I feel like this is important when you talk about a wider scope of how you market a city, and these mini destinations, they play a role also in the bigger picture, and how you also uh, push or promote a city. And now, when you want to promote an entire city, you need these mini destinations to also be consistent, right? Is someone who is responsible for promoting an entire city also does he also need to manage these destinations or have some form of um, view or influence with these mini destinations? Would you say?
Yeah, so for the listeners as well, majority of my career has been in destination marketing.
Yeah.
I started off with my accounting and finance degree, and I went and I was an analyst, an accounting analyst. But I think 3 years down the line, I realized that this is not my calling, and so I started to really look at the DNA of what Dubai represents, and the UAE, but primarily Dubai because I am a Dubai kid, and look at everyone and the the people that make up the city
Yeah.
and that build the city every day, and how do we focus on that? Because you have 200 plus nationalities, each bringing a plethora of just variety of different
Interests.
cultures and
Yeah.
interests and food
Yeah.
and ideas and there's a very famous quote that Her Highness Sheikh Latifa bint Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum said, which is, "We're not necessarily a melting pot, because a melting pot means we've kind of gelled all together and now we made this new identity. Where
Right.
Dubai is not that. We are like a basically like a salad, or like a fruit salad." What does she mean by that is that every individual component is so tasty on its own, adds so much value, but when you get it all together, you taste the different components that make Dubai what it is today. So we're not one kind of meshed identity. We are a collective of beautiful individual identities. So that's what something that
Beautiful.
resonates with me, and I remember it because I heard it when 16 years ago, and I still remember it today, and I thought it was such a beautiful example. And so after the accounting gig that I did, I moved into destination marketing. So the majority of my career was in the Department of Economy and Tourism, and now recently the Dubai Culture and Arts Authority, both of which are very much destination marketing. And essentially, for me, it was, how do I look at the ecosystem that is there, and how do they complement each other? Now, your question was, is there some form of gathering, or a way or a mechanism where we get everyone saying the same story. And
Mm.
it was because when I had joined the Department of Economy and Tourism in 2013, everyone was kind of beating to the beat of their own drum, and they were doing it well. The hotel industry was doing it well. The mall industry was doing it well. The shopping district, the F&B industry, but everyone was kind of doing it well and kind of aiming all over the place for and not necessarily telling the one narrative.
Yeah.
And what His Excellency Hilal Al Marri did once he became the Director General of DET was is that he realized, no, we need to gather all these people in a room, and that's what our role was. We brought the malls, we brought the chefs, we brought the people that were in the reception desks of hotels, and what we did was is we created something called DCT, the Dubai College of Tourism, and we were giving out free degrees to the industry to kind of educate them about what the narrative of Dubai, what is our story, what are we trying to say? The fruit salad example.
Yeah.
How do we embody that into our everyday work and into our own mission, objectives, and values? And at the beginning, it was tough because there were no forums. I worked as part of the team that launched the first hotel forum for Dubai, where we gather everyone in the hotel industry every quarter, and kind of update them and say, hey guys, so listen, these are the new openings coming out. These are the recent results of, this is what people are saying about, our destination from these different aspects. And then we would get one hotelier to come in and give their talk and story about it and their perspective. And so I was a part of that, and that taught me a lot about not just how to manage my own business, but how does my business or my businesses fall under this ecosystem, and how do we all together tell that story?
Right.
And so since then, it's just kind of
Yeah.
taken off.
And it's not really about getting them to follow one identity or one set of values, but perhaps it's more about how do you support them to achieve their full potential,
It
right?
was more these forums and these sit downs and the focus groups we had were more listening. It was more feedback loops that we were doing. It was more inviting them to say, we are here for you, as Saleh, as the government, as Dubai. We are here for you. We appreciate you. We support you. We respect what you're doing as an individual. So now how can we push more traffic to you? How can we get more eyes on whatever
Right.
it is that you're doing? How do we support you from an economy level, from fees and licenses and employment, etc. So
Yeah.
this is what we literally try to do from the back end, which is, I think, is what changed. If you look at Dubai in 2013, which was still booming, but compared where Dubai was in 2013 compared where Dubai is now in 2025, 12 years later, it's a completely different city.
Right.
Um,
Um, Back to the quote of how we're salad,
yeah.
right? And the multiple flavors.
Yes.
And it's not a melting pot. And there are 200 different nationalities. There's a lot of diversity. We don't want to try to get them all to follow a certain or to become one profile. How does that then help us understand or describe what is the culture in Dubai? It's hard to pin down, right? If you have this much diversity and you're trying to grow this diversity and basically give it more meaning in different ways, right? Because again, you're not trying to get everyone to follow one set of values. You want everyone to achieve their full potential in what they represent. What does that make of the culture of Dubai culture? Is there is there a recurring sort of a denomination of what is the Dubai culture?
This is what actually, and it's ironic that you're mentioning this now, because this was a huge discussion that I had with my own team. So I lead a beautiful team, in Marcoms, trying to now, my latest role is pushing the narrative and identity of what culture and arts means when it comes to Dubai as an emirate, to the globe. How do we position ourselves as a global arts and culture hub? And I was comparing it to what I see around the world. And when I go around the world, a lot of people immediately assume that when I'm going to somewhere and I want to experience the cultures, I want to see how the locals live, which is fair, which is a huge, it's something that I do. A lot of my friends, and it's funny, I think, again, it's a full circle moment, because the first thing I do when I travel anywhere is I look up where the art galleries and museums are. So I've always been that. My aunt has instilled that within me when we were growing up, and she would literally, if she paid for your ticket, you're reading every painting's description and every sculpture's description. She wants you to understand everything. We got those audiobooks. She's really the one who instilled that within me. So coming back to what I was telling my team is, it's fully fair for most of the people that are visiting or even residing here to want to know, hey, how do Emiratis live? What's the culture like? The thing
Yeah.
is, though, Dubai is so unique in the sense that we have so many. I have friends from all over the world, from the South Asian community, from the European community, from the American community, from the African community, that have lived here for 50 plus years
Yeah.
before the UAE became the UAE. And they are the fabric and the of what this country is, and what the city was made of. The stories of how they got here, and
Mhm.
then them seeing this as the land of opportunity before oil was found, before anything was found, before, they saw that potential, like their highnesses saw that potential. So when someone comes and tells me, how do I define culture specifically in Dubai, I wouldn't call it, oh yes, the traditional of I'd ask you to go to, the Dubai Museum, or, to go and see how Emiratis were in the 60s and 70s, which is great. And there's a lot of history there. But actually, the culture here is so diverse that it's just every district you visit, it's like, you walk into parts of Dubai during Diwali, and it was just the amount of colors that you see in the celebrations.
Yeah.
We're obviously approaching now, Christmas, and all the lights come up, and you see all, everyone getting festive, and the holidays. It's just beautiful to see how there are different people that have come, but everything is kind of tied to their upbringing here. They celebrate it, and these are third culture generation kids who have been born and raised here, that celebrate Diwali, celebrate Christmas, celebrate Eid in their own style, in their own way. Even the Arab expats, when they come here to celebrate Ramadan, there's a whole different vibe. I'd
Yeah.
sometimes tell people, who are more of those who don't celebrate Eid, and or sorry, don't celebrate Ramadan or Eid. And they were like, oh yeah, I won't visit Dubai, or, the UAE during Ramadan. That's like, that's when it's like dead. There's nothing open. There's nothing. I'm like, do you guys know what happens after fasting? Do you guys know what it's like? The city comes alive.
Yeah.
The things that open, it's not just I'm not talking about the shopping and that aspect, which does, it's a huge economy boost. But I was like, the gatherings, the fact that, you go to people's homes and you have that kind of like overall feel and spirit, that's something that we, had to educate people about.
Yeah.
So again, going back to the question of culture, it's just that salad example of, it's everyone. It's not a
Yeah.
specific demographic, and it's
Right.
not a specific nationality.
Yeah, and you have a lot of overlap in some areas. So you have these various, I guess, traditions that these different ethnicities bring, but you also have some, I guess, I think, recurring, I would say, movements in the city that overlap across these different groups, right? Like, for example, sports, and I think that athleticism and sports is pretty phenomenal in
Yes.
Dubai. If you go to, like you said, you go to Dubai, and you see the activities for Diwali. You can go to Kite Beach, for example, and you see the people that are running, walking, spending time on the beach, doing some water sports activities, and this is spanning multiple nationalities
Yes.
and people with diverse backgrounds. And I'm guessing that the challenge then it becomes tough, right? And how do you communicate this diversity to the rest of the world, right? What's the message, or what's the communication that you get across to make Dubai resonate with other places in the world?
So I'm speaking from obviously projects and experiences that I've kind of been a part of, or I've kind of indirectly been a part of. And I think a part of that is that we're fortunate enough that we've built a brand name, right? Dubai is now a brand name. I used to make fun of myself and saying, if I, my time at the DET in the economy and tourism, is if I don't do anything today, the world's not going to come crashing down. People are still going to, the numbers are still going to go up, because
Yeah,
there's just this accumulation of branding that happened in the 80s and 90s for Dubai, that we're going to see the effect up until, I don't know, hundreds of years, but
yeah,
it's there. It's already established. Our trick now is, now we have all these ice coming, we have all these people coming, we see the percentages increasing. How do we tell our story? Because
yeah,
people are coming, we need to tell them something. We need them to kind of realize who we are as a city, and why we are proud to be here, why we are proud to be this diverse. And so when you say what are the mechanisms, it really kind of falls down into, I think, grassroots. There are so many grassroots events that take place, and I'm gonna start even small. You have your Ripe Market, you have your Seoul DXP, you have your Dubai Run, which is happening in November, and Dubai Ride. You have Kite Beach, the
yeah,
district itself
yeah.
that
Well,
was nothing.
Perhaps it's not a challenge, right? Perhaps actually it's a strength. You have
Yes,
so much to talk about.
yes. And how do we showcase the diversity there?
Yeah.
And so what we were doing as a team was is we didn't really have to try that hard. Um, for example, I'll give a shout out to one of the companies. There's a company called Frying Pan Adventures, and we found out about the company by accident in 2014 or 15, and they're still running until today.
Yeah. Why
And
does that sound like a midsummer outdoor activity type?
well, actually, what it was is that it took residents down specific routes in Deira and Bir Dubai across homegrown hole in the wall food concept.
Oh, wow.
So you would have 10 bites within a span of 3 hours while you walked around Deira and Bir Dubai, took the Abra across and stuff like that. And it was run by a South Asian, resident who's called Dubai home her entire life and saying, you could go to the glam, restaurants, global names, but if you really want to, taste an authentic sambusa, Dubai
Yeah.
style,
Yeah.
because these guys have infused all these different flavors, come with me. And so we stumbled upon these, and I'm giving you a very small example. Now multiply that in the hundreds, if not thousands. These are the little stories that we were like, okay, now what do we do? So what did we do at that time? Number one, uh, sat down, had a meeting, created some form of relationship where we would drive traffic. All of a sudden, she was doing great on her own, but we drove everyone to her. Anyone that came in through the Department of Economy and Tourism, whether they were a media fam trip, broadcast, influencer, we would take them. We would divert them to her way, and the others that we met, the other companies and the other kind of initiatives by the residents, and any broadcast we would get TV, we would film her.
Yeah.
Any introduction when we brought in the team of Michelin, for example, the Michelin guide, we would introduce these guys to them. Now that's why you see that a lot of the Michelin guide, the ones who got the stars and everything, there's a lot of homegrown talent there. Beit Maryam is a good one
Yeah.
that we did as well, like whereby we didn't do anything as an authority and as a government.
Yeah.
We just noticed, but then how do we create a support system for that? So we would put them on a level of exposure expecting nothing in return besides saying this is who we are, you
Right.
know um, in the food industry, for example, you want to see culture when it comes to food. Take a day at Frying Pan Adventures. You want to see an Arab mom expat that started from scratch, go to Beit Maryam, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
So that's how I think. And I'm referring to food, but there's a lot of different stuff. There's also the fitness.
But rightfully so, right? Before
Yeah.
we get into fitness, for food, I think Dubai's done an outstanding job. It was voted the the world's number one food destination, or people's choice number
Yes.
one
Yes.
destination, food destination,
Yes.
and
And
TripAdvisor.
TripAdvisor
Yeah,
4 years in a row,
yeah,
number one, which was, if you think about it, we got it post
yeah,
COVID, so it wasn't easy.
yeah,
A lot of people thought we were, I think when you look at it, you're look at the top five in the world. You're looking at Bangkok, you're looking at London, New York, Paris,
huge.
Dubai. The other four, hundreds years. I don't know how,
Yeah,
you go next to it and you see buildings that have been there for 1,000 years. I don't know. Um, you come here and we just recently hit 50 years. Where, and so what the thing is we do have this underdog kind of rep that goes out. A lot of people thought we were down for the count when COVID hit. It's like, oh, they're the new kid on the block. He's out. He won't be able to sustain. And we were the first destination to go fully open after COVID. I think we opened in like June or July 2020. And I was there when I was part of the entity when we were
yeah,
opening. And I was even skeptical about, are we sure we're doing this? But we had so much of the infrastructure in place and safety protocols that we benefited, and we all did as a collective living in Dubai in terms of our businesses, because the mentality that we had was the economy was suffering globally. Businesses, SMEs, F&Bs, individual artists were suffering. If we close the doors any longer, we're all down. It's not just us. We're not looking at it from a government perspective. We're looking at it from an ecosystem perspective. And so open the floodgates. And when we open the floodgates, I'm here as an SME. I have SMEs on both F&B and fitness industries. 2020, I think a lot of people will say post June, July, when we opened the doors, probably my best year.
Yeah.
And 2021, hit good profit. Best years were when we decided to, open it. So I'm here as I play both hats. I played it from the authority, but I also played it from an SME perspective of needing that support from the government. And so I saw the benefit personally.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of Dubai being the new kid on the block, I think now we're not the most visited destination, but when you look at the rankings and the people's choice, we've I think COVID was a testament to no, we're here to stay.
Yeah. And there's more headroom.
Yes,
I feel like there's still plenty of these hidden gems and activities that are still undiscovered, right? Like this
frying pan
lady,
adventures.
yeah,
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah.
frying pan adventure. When you spoke about frying pan, I think, Wawa came to my head. I don't know if you
Yeah,
know Wawa,
yes,
you're familiar with Wawa, and Fusion Ceviche, which are these little restaurants that are located in maybe unconventional locations, but yet are doing great.
yes,
Yeah, and
yeah,
they're you feel like they're grassroots rather than, I guess, poshy,
yes.
which is what some people may think of Dubai.
And you mentioned that, we have a lot of headway, we have a lot of room. So if anything, I think what we've learned post COVID, and we've seen that is, I mean, one of the major things that happened was the Dubai Economic Department and the Department of Tourism, Dubai Tourism merged into DET. That signifies that they're realizing the importance of how the economy and tourism are so intertwined. And if you are in the field, and you're tapping into the news, look at the agendas that came out: the Dubai Creative Agenda, the Dubai Economy Agenda, the Dubai Social Agenda, for example, the things that came out that support not just, I think the way I see it now, I'm not in DET anymore, but I still work with them from the Culture and Arts Authority. But the way I see it personally is cool. We've done the homework in tourism. We're good. We're cruising at a good increase year on year. There's a lot of work that goes behind that. No one, not saying everyone's taking a back seat, but how do we now fine tune it? So while global destinations are working hard to pump up the visitation numbers, we're looking at the infrastructure, which I think sets us apart as a destination.
Yeah,
We're looking at what are the things that go into opening a business here? What are the things that go into getting a home? What are things that go into visa, putting your kids to a school? And how do we fine tune that to make it as seamless in terms of a customer experience as possible so that when you get these people to come here from touristic perspectives, how do we attract now them to become investors? How do we them attract them to become residents? Because we're thinking now long term. You could visit for 2 nights and 3 nights, but if we turn that tourist into an investor or a resident, you're looking at a lifelong commitment for both parties. How do we make it? It's like a win-win.
yeah,
How do I make your life easier? How do I unleash your potential? And how do you support me as a government, as a government to fuel that again?
yeah.
I think that's what we've switched gears specifically after COVID.
Right.
We saw that
And
potential.
even a step further, how do you retire in Dubai?
Yes, and you saw
Right?
that they've changed those rules as well.
Yeah.
Things like the golden visa, the retirement plan. Before there was no retirement plan. There's also now pensions. We've because a lot of when I was growing up, it was I'll retire, but then I'll probably go back to another, or I'll travel to another country and I'll retire there. And now that's not because now we've made the retirement plan and rollout much easier for the residents.
Yeah.
So that's where I see us going. And I remember when I was working there, at the time when we were merging, and before it was just destination marketing. It was like, which was great. I was introducing myself, but then the mandate came from above, with His Excellency Hilal was, okay, so you see that guy, and I'll give you an example. Sean White.
The snowboarder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. He was visiting at one point, and you know what we were thinking? We were like, okay, from a destination marketing perspective, and I can say all this because it's already out in the news, so it's public. From a destination marketing perspective, we sat there as a team and we were like, what if we created a video of him boarding across Dubai, snowboarding in Ski Dubai, skateboarding in Kite Beach, sandboarding in the desert, and waterboarding. Sorry, waterboarding in Kite Beach and
Yeah.
skateboarding in Museum of the Future. They
Yeah.
gave us access at the time, and the video is out there. It's on YouTube. It's on Visit Dubai, and you'll see him. So that was the destination marketing part, right? And we,
Yeah.
you know, we had a few partners, and the video was like well received and showcasing basically the four different things you could do in one day in Dubai as as a skateboarder,
Yeah.
snowboarder. Then the question came of yeah, our mandates changed now. We don't need just eyes. We need now to understand how can we support the economy. And so,
How do
oh,
you get Sean White to
exactly.
become a resident,
Yes. Or
basically?
an investor. So what happened was is that, you know, overhearing conversations about how his snowboarding factory, you know, he's looking to relocate.
Wow, brilliant. Yeah.
And it's out there and it's official. And the headline read on all the news publications like CNN, Sean White's snowboarding, emphasis on snow, snowboarding factory HQ has moved to the desert. So he
Wow.
eventually moved his entire HQ to Dubai to produce the snowboards because of the ecosystem. And it was us who kind of introduced him to different partners and stakeholders in the city that assisted him to make that shift and make that move even, you know, even more easier for him and obviously profitable for him. And so that's what happened. So that's I think a very good example of what I was just explaining about how our destination marketing focus was okay, all eyes on Dubai, but now okay, all eyes on Dubai, but then how do we create a long lasting relationship with the individuals visiting? And so he was just one of the ones that when that worked out, we were like, okay, yeah, now we can see this model and how do we, you know, multiply that template
Yeah.
across
Yeah.
everyone?
And this is just one angle, right? The business
Yes.
growth, investment angle, or entrepreneurship angle, right? There's still also you can also talk about the growing a family angle,
Yes.
you know, being living in a very safe
Yes.
city
Yep.
angle, the education angle, the sports angle, right? One of the, I guess for me personally, one of the motivators to move to Dubai was the athletic community
Mm.
here, right? That I could access and friends that I could make in this space, right? Um, and so let's talk about a little bit about uh, technical marketing, right?
Sure.
So like channels that you think are performing maybe nowadays when it comes to um, culture marketing or destination marketing. Um, what would you say is working nowadays? So obviously there's been a massive shift
Mm.
to digital,
Yeah.
to social media. Would you say um, social media is growing, still a primary channel? Would you still rely on mainstream, traditional broadcasting? Perhaps not broadcasting nowadays, maybe OTV
Yeah.
or CTV. Is outdoors still a space? Would you put Dubai on Times Square, for example, on a big outdoor billboard,
Yeah.
or what's your take on that?
I feel like what I answer now could definitely change. So I'm giving like a disclaimer and
Yeah,
of the things that are happening right now. I think we're
yeah,
living in an age in marketing and comms that's very interesting with the introduction of AI.
good point.
There is this sense and feeling of what AI and its capabilities can do when it comes to the creative space.
Yeah,
And I have this talk with all of my agencies that I work with, and I want to put my my finger on the pulse, my ears on the ground, and I want to understand the capabilities of what is happening at the moment with AI tools right now is insane in the sense of whereby you wanted to create an asset, a digital asset, an animation, an infographic, whatever that case may be, where it would take a designer a couple of days. Now with the help of AI tools, takes a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
It's and so that's what we're kind of catapulting into this world of tech and AI in all our industries and all aspects of our lives, that what I could say today, tomorrow could very well change, because there could be a new tool that goes viral, and the entire industry could flip over.
Yeah.
Well, I think what we're doing right now is that, going back to your question, is what do we see on on the rise? And I think, yes, the digital virtual space is definitely on the rise and will continue to do so, because that is where also the tech lives.
Yeah, yeah.
And so,
This is what could cater to this AI
yes,
generated assets, right?
yes,
All this diversity that you can create,
yes.
right?
There is a controversial discussion right now about the fact that traditional media um, might run obsolete.
Yeah.
There was one agency that told me the other day that they believe that press releases will be a thing of the past. Press releases have been, around since before I was born.
Yeah.
So that traditional sense of sending press releases out to publications and news publications to run it, they feel that that will not necessarily the creation of press releases will be obsolete, but the terminology, the way to disseminate the information
Yeah.
is going to be different. How do you take the information and this, cutout, or what you want the press to discuss on their
Right.
platforms? That will be changing, for
Right.
example.
So basically a text versus a video, right?
Yes.
Like a press release will move from an official formal memo,
Yes.
right,
Yes.
from the organization or the governmental entity, perhaps. How does that then maybe, I guess, transform into
More of
piece of
something visual.
content, right? Yeah.
So I think you're also in the industry, so you would maybe, have an opinion about this, but I do think that we're moving faster and faster into more of a visual community. Um, whether it's attention span, whether it's things that are, more mainstream at the moment, or things that are more relative. I think visual storytelling is the future. I think the style in which it's being done is also changing. So what I see on the rise at the moment is a lot of UGC, low effort
Yeah.
style content is what I see goes, has the most impact and has the most viral approach when it
Thanks.
comes to people sharing,
Yeah.
as opposed to what it was a couple of years ago, which was crisp, high-end production, multiple locations, a million permits, a budget of that reaches the sky, and that within the span of 3 years has changed the entire game. And so now agencies had to adopt, how do I create these more grassroots, earthy, homegrown type concepts and pieces of content that is, snackable, that is visually appealing, that shows low effort but still gets my impact
Yeah.
and my messaging across. I think this is like one example of like how it's changed in terms of the visuality. But yes, for future cases, I definitely do think that we're going to continue to run into visual storytelling. I think everything that you now push out has to be purposeful. You have to have a purpose, you have to have a positioning, and you have to have a message. Because I think that we are living now in a society where we are so, I think, more than ever before, bombarded with content. We absorb content like there's no tomorrow. There's so much that our brain kind of just filters, that if you don't take out something that has a story, or and ask yourself, when you push anything, this is my advice to any of my team members, before you push anything out or before you come up with something, just ask yourselves, why am I doing it and for who? Because you're in an industry, you might know this entire topic off by heart, but then why would it matter? So my question always is, why would they care?
Right.
This is always a question that I would ask myself. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be the leader of the free world. It's fine. But why would they care when you push something out? And if
Right.
you answer that question honestly and truthfully, with no kind of hidden agenda, that's what I feel like is something that will connect to audiences right now.
Right. And obviously creator content, right,
Yes.
is gaining grounds. It's probably taken the helm of,
Yes.
what social media content should look like for brands. What's your view on that? Do you think that governments need to work with creators in a certain way? Are they doing enough or not? Do you think this is a space that will continue to grow? Um, I feel like if you go back to Frying Pan, for example, it is a type of, collab,
Yeah. Yeah.
with a creator. Um, but maybe perhaps it becomes challenging to communicate the same set of values that you said. How do you get the message right? Yeah, you need these creators.
Yeah, you do. I think entities, whether government, private, won't be able to survive in terms of getting a messaging to a wider audience or specific niche communities without creators and without content creators. Um, my advice though is that when they are working, or specifically that's what I do, is that you have to allow content creators to tell the story in their own way. Again, I think what brands and entities forget to realize is that just like you contacted a content creator, you were interested in what they had to say, or you were interested in their style, or someone recommended it for you, which signifies initially that that person probably knows what they're doing. They understand their audience. And I think we don't understand about how much time that is, how much research that is. I've seen content creators looking at their stats, asking questions, feedback loops to their audience about, what would you like what would you like to see more of, me doing. And so they have done the work.
Yeah.
They have done those sleepless nights of trying to understand. I think there's obviously a media, image of what a content creator looks like, but the ones that I personally work with and brands personally work with have built something. They built their own brand. So I try to urge as many people on the other side of that table or keyboard to understand that these guys are institutions that they've built and worked hard with. And so you have to let them tell the story the right way and in their way. Don't try to put anyone in a box. Um, and I think it's changing now, but in the past few years, obviously, entities and brands will be like, well, this is my message, and you have to say it, per verbatim, and you have to know exactly the cue cards, and this is the key points I want to come across, and you can't smile during this part, but this part you have to show the logo. And I think when it comes off controlled, then they get upset because then after the results come in, they're like, but it was your least performing content that went out.
Hmm.
There's a reason, because the whether it's you want to blame the algorithm, but even the
Yeah.
audience, they can realize that this is not exactly the authentic in terms of what you're known to be pushing out into your platform.
Right.
So yeah.
How do you go about measurement and measuring success? Or maybe we can talk about KPIs. What would you say are KPIs for culture in Dubai?
I,
And how do you measure against those KPIs?
I've seen so
If
I,
I can ask.
yeah, so I've seen it all. I'll tell you the behind the scenes
Yeah.
of how we used to measure in the back end.
And maybe perhaps there's an intersection with the ET. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So and this is how we did it when I was, and when digital media and visual storytelling started off. And our first metrics was how many likes and how many comments, and then it became how many views, because then we went into video.
Video. Yeah.
So how many views? And upon recently, I guess maybe 2 years ago, it was how many shares. How many shares does the video get? Um,
Which helps with the
Thankfully,
algorithm, right?
which
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
thankfully, in my
Yeah.
opinion, at least with the entities I'm working at, they
Mhm.
have started to move away from that mentality of um, I want to look at the numbers and the comments and
Yeah,
the views and
reducing
this.
it to media metrics, right?
Yes,
Whereas probably the right success metrics are
yes,
more should be more tied to brand sentiment, I
yes.
suppose, right?
And so what? And obviously, people have been playing with: do we go macro? Do we go micro content creator? Do we go mid?
Yeah.
What do we do? I think, again, I'm talking about based on my own experiences, and I primarily have worked in government, both in Dubai government and Abu Dhabi government, we have shifted away from the standard kind of social metrics of likes and forward to now uh, our success is the quality of the content that comes out. That is it. My superiors and my senior management, whoever I reported to, if we work with a content creator and develop such a beautiful post, a beautiful story, that to them is success. They do not look at it from a perspective of what's my ROI in this person? How many clicks did they get? Did they share it on their story? Why that is because now, thanks to a lot of the platforms, is they have these features like on Instagram where it's a collaborative feature.
Yeah.
So what do brands think is like, I can work with a micro because I am macro. As a
Right.
brand, I have a platform. So you know what? I'll work with this micro because they're micro or even macro, whoever it is. But I can work with a micro creator, a mid creator to produce such a good piece of content that if I collaborate, if I push, if I repost, if I forward,
Yeah.
it will get the visibility. But it's because of the quality, not because of specifically how many likes that person gets.
Right.
So now moving forward, when I worked with a lot of the media offices, I've worked with Dubai Media Office, I worked with Abu Dhabi Media Office, and these are institutions that have very strict guidelines as to upholding the government name and profile globally and how it's represented. So we have to be careful about what is being said and everything like that to make sure it's on brand guidelines. But the fact that they have also, as these institutions have understood the power of content creators, have understood the power of allowing them to create in their own creative bubble, is so refreshing as a professional industry because that's what I've been saying since day one. And finally, I think the ecosystem has and the industry has caught up to it, and that is why you're seeing a lot of good
Yeah.
content coming out from
Yeah.
local, resident and Emirati content creators.
Right. And I can see how focusing on quality matters more because it could be misleading if you have a poor quality content out there, but it's delivering high numbers. And if you only look at the numbers, it may not be enough, right? It may not be meaningful enough to determine whether this has worked or not. Because the numbers at the end of the day are a good indication. They're a great indication, but they're not the full story, right? The numbers, like media numbers, they don't really always or don't always reflect brand sentiment
No.
and really how a user or the audience feels towards that content, right? Um,
And don't forget that I maybe I'm a bit biased, but oh, I've only worked on not selling you something.
yeah,
I'm working in the government. What I'm trying to sell you is the idea of the fact that we have a destination here that can be home.
yeah,
If that's selling, then that's what I sell. But I'm not necessarily selling you a product. And that's what I
yeah,
used to tell everyone is, you know, the reason why we have to allow this flexibility and this kind of ownness to the content creators and whoever it is that we're collaborating with to tell their version of the story is because I'm not here to sell a product. I am not one, I'm not here to get this bottom dollar figure. I'm here actually to tell you that, by the way, there's a visa. You can come and set up your business here. Yes, it boosts the economy, but the economy goes into the people that live here. It's a cycle.
yeah,
So I'm not getting anything personally.
right,
And so I think that's why maybe I'm a bit biased is because I don't necessarily have something to sell, a product or a service to sell. I'm raising awareness more like it.
yeah,
And that's kind of like the school that I have come from for the
right,
past,
right.
16 years.
And if we go back to quality content, right? Are there any tools that you
Mm.
use to determine that this is quality content? Forget the numbers and engagement
Mm.
rates. You said these don't really matter as long
Yeah.
as it's quality content.
Yeah.
And some may say, well, deciding whether this is quality content may be a bit subjective, right? Based on tastes and
Yeah. Yeah.
experience. And so I would say probably it would take a vision, right? To know what's good quality content. It takes someone to have a certain vision in mind.
Yes.
Um, is that what it takes, or are there tools that you use? Anything that helps you decide or convince
Yeah.
your team that this is good to air?
Yeah. So a lot of so for those who are maybe in the content creator space or the other side, I want to like burst the bubble or the idea that good quality content means I have to have the best equipment. I have to spend thousands of dollars on the latest equipment. Equipment helps. I mean, if you want that, and if you know, I think now a lot of brands now have created equipments that are perhaps more reasonably priced than big production style cameras. However, it's not necessarily the equipment that I believe, my personal opinion, is that makes a good um, piece of content.
Yeah.
I think it's the story, like you were just saying, the voice in the content itself. It's basically understanding, what it is that who it is that you are as a storyteller, and essentially starting a story. We kind of Some people forget that when you're posting something and they're like, oh, I'm just posting a story, I'm just posting a post. um, Everyone's phone is basically now a broadcast. It's as powerful, at times, if it goes viral, it's even powerful than the mega broadcast channels globally.
Yeah.
So what you have in your phone is your ability to reach the entire globe in a mind-boggling way.
Yeah.
And so if you know your story and you know the narrative and you know what you're going to say, that's what sets it apart. And then, to assist and maybe give it like a life hack to everyone, who's listening, is what if you're not a storyteller? Well, again, going back to my previous comment, the fact that AI and tech is now competing and kind of taking over the industry, you don't have to be. You could become a very good prompt engineer and have AI tools that support your storytelling. We do it in the back end. When we're working on um, a creative board, we're working on a script. We have a campaign that wants to come out and we need to shoot tactical videos and digital assets, for example, and we have a script going out. I'm with all the Geminis and the DeepSeeks and the OpenAI
Clouds.
and the Claudes
Yeah.
of the world, and I'm just like you. Okay, so you do that script and you do the script. Sometimes it's a marriage
100%.
between all.
Yeah.
And I learned this, funny enough, from Mo Godet,
Yeah.
who I saw him speak, former CBO of Google,
Yeah.
he was like, use them, use and abuse all the different platforms, mix them up. And so I was doing that before, but when I saw he was doing it, I was like, great, I'm on the right track. If you feel like you need that kind of like support, it's not necessarily using AI is not cheating. Using AI is not, we have this bad rep of, oh, that's definitely AI, as in that's fake. This is machine learning at its finest. This is
Yeah.
the smartest platform that's known to humankind. If we're not using it to enhance ourselves, then what are you doing? You literally have a superpower in your phone. And so that's what I would advise, is focus on the storytelling, the narrative, and use AI to harness that and educate you on what you, because the more you utilize that, the more you will pick up, the more you will learn, the more then you can plan it out. And I've been using it, and I've so far been seeing, it creates my content timeline for myself, my own personal channels.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm too busy. I prompted it with all the things that I'm interested in. What is the things I'm working on? What is everything? And I was like, can you just create for me a November plan? And it did. And so I'm just gonna run an autopilot, I think,
That's
for
fascinating.
the next month.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard, just to close the conversation, I remember talking to a friend about use of AI in marketing in Dubai, uh, publishing, I guess, scenes in Dubai,
Mm,
outdoor
mm,
scenes in Dubai, specific,
mm,
perhaps locations using AI
mm,
and the regulation around that.
mm.
Is it regulated, or is it
Currently,
free, especially for stock imagery?
yeah. So it's tricky. AI at the moment isn't regulated in any
Yeah.
space, shape,
Yeah.
or form. And so this is like, I think, one of the biggest conversations that's happening globally in the past, since, I mean, a few years now, since AI has kind of been booming. And at this stage in time, there still is no regulatory authority that goes over what and where and how far can we use AI and in what formats. What I do know is that when we are working with AI, we do have to still be very mindful of the media, I guess, regulations that are found in the country. So, for example, and I'm always very transparent, and some of the content that we released where we needed infographics, and in these infographics we needed Emirati nationals to be in them. They were infographics, but we needed imagery. Now, not every AI tool is an expert. It's machine learning at its finest, but you still have to machine learn it.
Yes.
And it develops images of like Emiratis walking around a specific location, but the way they're wearing the khitra, al-iqal, the abaya isn't obviously the Emirati way. Of course, now you have AI tools and specific ones that can do that and have learned it, but you have to be mindful of these kind of little nuances of what are you trying to portray, and make sure that when you're using AI that it's guideline specific to your entity, to your mission, to the country's regulations. Things like, for example, utilizing AI to do voiceovers. Dialects is very difficult for some of the more open sources to get. There is no, can you make it a voiceover in an Emirati dialect? We haven't got there yet, but we
Yeah.
will probably get there eventually.
Yeah.
So we're still depending on voiceovers from actors and voice actors. But going to that question is, I think at the stage there is no regulation,
Mhm.
but if we're looking at it as to how do we gauge, I think it's looking at the media regulations of the ecosystem that you're currently in, and how do you maneuver that with the use of AI. There are some regulative authorities that don't encourage you to use AI to depict from a, let's say, country or nation specific
Mhm.
things that are currently not there. So when
Yeah.
I was in Abu Dhabi government, to create this is what the future of Abu Dhabi looks like. That's a very thin line,
Yeah.
because what are you saying? Are
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
saying, and we created an image with AI. Are you saying that this is going to be Abu Dhabi? And if this is going to be Abu Dhabi, what's going to happen to the old Abu Dhabi? Where is
Yeah.
that going to go? So
Yeah.
you kind of have to kind of make sure that whatever it is that you're utilizing and the way that you're perceiving or you're sending your message doesn't narrowly depict anything negative towards whether it's your audience or the place you're living in, the entity that you're working for. I think that's the thing that we have to be mindful. Whether it's going to change in the future, I do think that there will be a day where AI will be regulated,
Yeah.
but it's just, I don't think anyone understands the full capacity of it yet to produce those regulatory lines at the moment.
Makes sense. Saleh, thank you so much for
Hey,
being on the
thank you.
show.
Bilax, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, very
Yeah.
insightful, and I look forward for the next one.
We'll have a part two maybe. We'll talk more
Maybe,
about food.
for sure.
Hey, thank you so much, Ibrahim. بالعكس, بالتوفيق with this show, and I'm a huge fan of everything that you're doing. So for me, it was my honor, صراحة, for being here.
Appreciate it. Thank you.